So next is our action agenda, and we have items considered in executive session. If I could have a motion for the selected employment items as shown in Exhibit A. Ms. Bumgardner?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the selected employment items as shown in Exhibit A.
Is there a second? Ms. Hammond seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed, that passes 6-0. Second is the reappointment recommendations in Exhibit B. Ms. Bumgardner?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the reappointment recommendations as shown in Exhibit B.
Is there a second? Mr. Halterwanger? Any discussions? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed, and that passes 6-0. Next in our action agenda is the final reading of the proposed fiscal year 2016 capital budget, and if can have a motion, and then we'll have some discussion. Do I have a motion? Ms. Bumgardner.
I move that we give final reading to the proposed 2016 capital project as shown in Exhibit E.
Okay. Is there a second?
Ed.
Mr. Halterwanger?
Ed.
Yes.
Oh, Ed, I'm sorry. Mr. White, I didn't see you. Mr. White seconds it. All right. Now it's time for, is there discussion? I'm sure there's discussion and questions, and I'm sure Mr. Richardson is ready to answer all of our questions. You have one? Okay, Ms. Hammond.
In the right place now. I just wanted to know about from discussion we had the last time about one of the concession stands at Chapin. That's not the one that we were worried if it was worth fixing. I don't have an item. I read it in this first page of E. You know what? When we talked in the last meeting, we had the discussion. I just wanted to be sure that amount there, we decided it was worth renovating it.
The concession stand is not worth renovating.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, one of the changes that we made from the last meeting was to include the new concessions in with a baseball press box.
So that's a different place than the one you showed us the picture of.
It's
Gotcha.
in the same general vicinity.
Gotcha. That was my question.
Okay, I'm sure we have some other questions. Ms. Bumgardner.
Okay, just to make it clear what we're doing, we're approving, I think it's $1.2 million for some stadium improvements at Chapin High. But the second year, because this is a 5-year plan, that's why it's not all comprehensive for every item, because this is a 5-year plan. We had looked at another $1.2 million, and that will be looked at next year, but we're approving $1.2 million for this year on this budget. Is that correct?
It's less than $1.2 million. What we did was we had identified those areas that we knew that needed attention, softball press box and concession stand, the renovation of the visitor side and baseball restroom area and locker room, the completely refinishing all the concrete structures on both sides of the football stadium, the stands, those areas that are crumbling and need to be addressed, and baseball press box and concessions that will serve baseball field and the visitor side football field. So it comes out to less than $1.2 million. We're in the $900,000 range, and then we move the rest of it down to school identified needs and the contingency for the next year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Lovelace.
On the foundation at Oak Point, is there a warranty or a time that this should be to where somebody else might be responsible for this?
I don't know the answer to that, but we have spoken with the architect on that job, and, you know, obviously that's something we're going to have to decide depending on what we find once we get into it. Our fear right now is that we're going to, if we don't take care of the issues, we may start, you know, the cost may increase if we don't take care of them as soon as possible.
Okay. I have another question.
On the same thing?
Oh.
Oh, can I follow up? I'd just like to follow up on, I thought, Mr. Richardson, that when we talked a few weeks ago, that maybe it was Mr. Carlson who was going to look into whatever type of warranty, and there's maybe an 8-year, 13-year, and I don't have all the specifics. Have we found that information out?
If
Can
we
you,
were,
can you find that?
we can find that out, but no, we have not. I have not pursued that. I did not realize that was something that we were looking at the time.
That's fine. If you would pursue that, I think that as a board, we want to make sure that we get what we pay for and quality.
I can tell you this, and I don't know how far back it goes, but there have been engineers out there looking at this for quite a while. There's been meters on some of the cracks on the walls to see if the settling is continuing. I do not know how long that has been, but it's prior to my coming to the district. I do know that. So I would say we're probably within whatever period, because we knew there was a problem and it's been monitored.
I do believe that the school board members would like you to pursue that it's, if we can save taxpayer money,
Absolutely.
we're
yes.
all for that.
I am too.
I know you are. I know that. Thank you. Ms. Lovelace, did you have another question?
I do. I just, I think I just want to let people know that I do go on, visit the schools and look at the things that, they're brought up, the things that we need. And I have been out to Chapin High School and witnessed the concession stand and the concrete in the stands, and which, of course, I'm not a structural engineer, but, they say these things need to be repaired for safety reasons. I'm totally for that. And but I just want to let everybody know that I have seen these issues right here, and I do really support the fact that we take care of these needs.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Ms. Hammond?
I wouldn't mind, I understand it, and I think a 5-year plan is smart for the benefit of the public. Mr. Richardson, would you like to explain how maybe it is fluid, if even though we approve it, if there's something, a need comes up, the board can maybe change where funds are needed, even though we're doing a 5-year plan? Maybe explain why you, as our Chief Financial Officer, suggest that as a very smart way to plan.
Well, we wanted the board to be able to see what we think our priorities are. We're trying, the board and the district have done a good job of getting our facilities up to date, and we want to maintain them, obviously. This will be a fluid process, depending on how all these, hopefully what we budgeted is high, so we'll have additional funds when these projects are finished, that maybe some of these projects that we have later on could move up, perhaps, or could address some of the needs that some schools have identified, so we know what's going to change, so we're really only asking for approval for the first year, but we just want to see what our long-range plans are.
Thank you. I just wanted that explained for the public.
Mr. Richardson, I think I just got a little bit confused. In your memo, you asked that, let's see, that you want us to approve the proposed 5-year capital budget plan, and
But the funding for year one.
okay, so in our motion, should we specify that the funding for year one?
Yes.
Okay. Could I have we need an amendment to that.
You want me to
Who would like to
do
make,
it?
Ms. Hammond?
Let me get our first page. So it would be, all right, let's see, how would we do that? Final reading proposed for capital budget as seen in Exhibit E for approval of 2015-16 and proposed for the other years. Would that be okay? Or how do you
Let's see,
like
I
me to
know
say it?
it's difficult.
Oh, okay. Just use the word funding for the first year.
How about if you make a motion that you'd like to make an amendment to add the wording and funding for 2015-16?
Okay, you got it to make, so my motion would be to make an amendment for the wording. Okay?
Okay,
You want
is
to
that
read it
clear?
back to me? I thought you wrote it as she said it.
Okay, so we need a second for that amendment. Is there a second? Ms. Baumgartner seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of adding the amendment, which includes the statement funding for 2015-16, please raise your hands. All opposed, that passes 6-0. Next is our original motion. Any other questions about our original motion? Which is the original motion was to approve the 5-year plan. All right, seeing no questions, all in favor of approving that, please raise your hand. All opposed, that passes 6-0. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Richardson and your team, Mr. Carlson and Mr. McAllister. No, it was a team effort. Next is the approval of the proposed early release plan for the middle schools. Did you have?
You heard the official presentation at our meeting 2 weeks ago. Here tonight to answer any questions, should you have any remaining questions, are Jess Hutchinson from Crossroads, Anna Miller from Chapin Middle, and Robert Jackson from here at Irmo Middle.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have a motion for approval of the proposed early release? Mr. Haltewanger.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the proposed early release plan for Crossroad Middle School and Chapin Intermediate School, and the proposed late start plan for Chapin Middle School, Dutch Fork Middle School, and Irmo Middle School.
Thank you.
In Exhibit F.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'd second.
Ms. Lovelace seconds. Any discussion? Any questions? We have the experts here. Okay, I think we asked all of our questions, and it was such a wonderful report last time. I believe the board is ready to vote. All in favor of approving the proposed early release plans for the middle schools mentioned in Exhibit F, please raise your hands. All opposed, that passes 6-0. The final action agenda is number 16, the first reading of proposed revisions to Board Policy IKD, honor rolls. Does anyone?
This is Dr. Milton's
Dr.
item.
Milton's, okay. Is there a motion? Ms. Baumgartner.
I move that we give first reading of proposed revisions to Board Policy IKD honor rolls as shown in Exhibit G.
Is there a second? Ms. Lovelace seconds. Is any discussion? Any questions for Dr. Milton? Okay, seeing none. And once again, you did such a wonderful job, Dr. Milton.
Thank you.
All in favor of approving the first reading of the proposed revisions to the board policy shown in Exhibit G, please raise your hands. All opposed, that passes 6-0. That concludes our action agenda.